typically I've not spoken to you about the writing exercises that take place in Unit 5, but Lesson 5.13 is a lesson which deserves a little bit of commentary. First of all, in Unit 5, you're finally getting a chance with Lesson 13 to do some practical application of your beginning writing skills. Lessons 1 and 2, as you remember, reviewed the issue of phonics, and therefore they allow you to diminish the probability of mistakes as you're writing, because as you have a good understanding of phonics, you can tell when you write something if there's a certain degree of doubt in your mind as to whether it's written correctly or not. You can look at your spelling and you can look at the combinations of letters and say, does this create the sound that, because of my oral knowledge of the language, I know it should create? So lessons 1 and 2 that reviewed phonics, and they're valuable for that very reason. However, lessons 3 through 12 have simply been a transcription, you might say, of words or statements that you already know how to make or how to say in oral fashion. And so lesson 13 is the first time that you're putting it all together into a practical application. You're going to be writing in lesson 5.13 a simple letter to a potentially a real, but more likely a fictional pen pal. And this letter, just like as was the topic in Unit 1, this letter is a self-presentation. You'll be doing more complex writing activities in Unit 10. Unit 5 will only be devoted to this issue of letter writing, although getting increasingly more sophisticated as we go along. But in Unit 10, you'll be doing some more journalistic style of writing, and also you'll start to write essays. That will be toward the end of this second year. Now, when you come to lesson 5.13, after some introductory images, which represent statements that I could make about myself in making a self-presentation, you'll be able to click on them and to hear the statement which these images represent, and then you'll see next to them how these words would be transcribed, how they'd be written down. And these, because of the work we've done in lessons 5.3 through 5.12, hopefully these are statements that you yourself could write without much probability of error. And then at the end, in the second section, you're going to be putting these statements together, or actually I put these statements together in a sample letter that you will read. Now it's a letter which begins with an opening that you have not been exposed to thus far. It'll be a simple opening such as Dear Pen Pal, and then there'll be a closing as well, which again is new to you. It'll be along the lines of best regards, a very simple closing. And then, having read them, in the third section, you will have opportunity. You'll click on a link that will take you to a form, an online form. And this form, within this form, you will write a sample letter presenting yourself. Now, you'll see down the left-hand side of the screen the images which represent the things about which you can easily talk in making a self-presentation. And so use those as a guide to give you basically an outline for the letter that you're going to write. Now, it's very important that you write this letter extemporaneously. That is to say, you don't go back and as you're writing it, consult either a dictionary or consult my own writing in the second section where I wrote that sample letter. You should write it completely, you might say, from your head, spontaneously, extemporaneously, without any written notes to which you're referring. That gives the person to whom you send it the chance to evaluate where you still need help. If you're merely copying my words, or my spellings and my statements, that doesn't really serve any purpose. But if you're sending this to a person who's going to evaluate your work, whether it be a teacher, whether it be your parent, whether it be maybe an actual pen pal, you want to do it extemporaneously so that they can get a sense of what you know and what you don't know, where your mistakes are and what you've mastered. And having just mentioned that you can send it to someone, you'll notice in the online form that there'll be a place, just like with all of your writing exercises in Unit 5, a place where you can put the email address to which you want your writing sent. Okay, you can turn now to lesson 5.13 and begin by taking a look at the sample statements which one would make in one's self-presentation.